Yeah, don't be pulling on that, Gary.
Hey folks, welcome to the channel again. Today we hit the famous Mojave Road. For those of you not familiar with the Mojave Road, it's basically an east to west road that starts near the Colorado River and basically ends up near Zizek Road off the 15. Those of you that have gone to Vegas know what I'm talking about.
Hey guys, we are in Ludlow, California. We're gassing up, last stop before we head out to the trails. We're going to spend the first night at Kelso Dunes. I highly suggest if you're coming out this way, you get gas up in Barstow, because the price here, there you go, $6.99 a gallon. Barstow, it was like $1 and change, or $5 and change, so a lot cheaper there. Anyways, we'll catch you on the trail.
So the first night we did spend at Kelso Dunes Campground. It's a free camping area just off the 40. And the next morning, of course, the all-important coffee before we head on our way. And once we were all properly caffeinated, it was off to the Hole in the Wall Information Center, which was about a 60-mile drive from Kelso Dunes Trail, where we were going to meet up with the rest of our crew.
Hey guys, we're at Hole in the Wall Visitor Center. We're just meeting up with a few more rigs here, and then we'll be on our way on the trail.
So in our particular group, you had John DZ in his Honda Passport, Pat and Emma on their Power Wagon, John V and Paul in their Tacoma, Vincent in his Tacoma, Gabe and Gurley in their Subaru Forester, Brandon and Greg in their F-250 with camper shell, and myself with my Ford Ranger Tremor. Our first stop was a place called the Rock House and Rock Springs Loop Trail. We didn't really hike the trail, but we did check out the house. Apparently it was constructed in 1929 by a veteran who returned back after World War I with symptoms of poison gas exposure. Apparently he didn't have long to live, at least that's what the doctors told him, but living off the Mojave Road in the Mojave Wilderness, he lived for another 25 years apparently. After the rock house, it was back on the trail and off to our campsite for night number 2. Unfortunately, it was a little crowded, not quite enough space in the campsite that we found, so Greg and I camped out next to another group who were gracious enough to let us stay by their site. Now, I'm not going to share the name of this particular campsite. This was a find by John DZ, and he did want to keep it kind of low-key so that it doesn't get overrun, because it is actually a really, really nice campsite.
This is well before COVID.
So here's my actual group. Here's my actual group where I'm supposed to be staying before I get kicked out to the other group.
One of the nice things about this particular campsite is there is an abandoned mine not too far away from it. Now, I do not suggest that you go explore abandoned mines. I think this is a case of do as I say, not as I do. Exploring mines can be dangerous, so if you do explore them, they are 100% at your own risk, but it is really cool.
Yeah, don't be pulling on that, Carrie.
She's like, yeah, what's that game, Jenka? You're like, what happens if? Oh, yeah, you have a stomach.
Yeah, I think this is...
Stomach crawl?
I'm not crawling.
It gets muddy down there.
Have fun, Carrie.
Not
All right, a little further, it's a crawl. If you guys want to go do it.
Stomach crawl up ahead.
Yep.
Jenka on your left.
Don't pull on the planks. Ow. Watch your head. Low clearance. Low clearance. Watch your head.
So after the mine, we went back to the camp, chowed down, went to bed. Next morning, we were greeted by our first bugaboo. One of our rigs had a dead battery. We were able to jumpstart the rig, let it charge for 30 minutes, but even after that, no bueno. Voltage was reading 3.4 volts. Not good. So at this point, I escorted Gabe back to the pavement, where he would go off to Vegas, find a new battery, and join us on the trail in a couple of hours. So after leaving Gabe, I made our way to our next campsite, where I found out we had a few more rigs that had issues on the trail. One had brake problems, and another just a headlight.
We can't see. All I can see is Carrie's head.
Of course, watching this begs the question, how many overlanders does it take to change a light bulb?
Yeah, the wire next to it. You see where you would pinch it and then it pulls out of the way.
And just as we were finishing Carrie's lights, along comes Gabe and his brand new battery, fresh from Las Vegas.
They made it! Alright, what kind of battery did you get? What battery did you get? Yellow top. Nice! Congratulations.
In any case, after all that fun, it was time to chow down a little bit. on the trail. I generally eat simply, but well. A little bit of ribeye steak, and the next morning, of course, we need to pack up and get moving. But of course, before we can get on the trail proper, we need to take a proper photo of all the rigs. First stop of day 3, Mojave mailbox.
What's inside? More crackers, a Cliff Bar. Oh, these are probably cool sunglasses. What? They're like some reading glasses. Some messed up reading glasses. They're all warped
From the heat. Nice.
Next stop was the Aiken Mine. The Aiken Mine is the remnants of a cinder cone, which is, I guess, kind of like a mini volcano. But basically it's like miniature lava rocks. And it's very rough. It's basically the same things that you'll find in a fire pit or in your barbecue grill. After playing a little bit on the hill, we went to go visit the mine proper. Here we did have a few troubles with the Xterra. I think it had a little trouble getting actually into four-wheel drive, but once we resolved that issue, he was on his way. After the Aiken Mine, it was off to the lava tubes. If nothing else, on the Mojave Trail, check out the lava tubes. They are amazing. After playing around in the lava tubes, it was off to our last campsite, the final night of our stay on the Mojave Road. In this case, we ended up staying in Little Cowhole campground. They have a bit of a sand dune there, which is a lot of fun. This is actually the first time I'd ever been in sand, and first time I tried to climb up the hill, didn't go so well. But we backed down and gave it another shot. It is a different experience if you've never driven on sand. You kind of float through, kind of half in control, half not in control. It's kind of a bizarre little feeling, to be honest with you. I'd also like to give a shout out to Nick from Dirty Fly Adventures and Carrie from Mountain Subi for the tips on driving in sand. Much appreciated, guys. So after playing in the sand for a bit, we did set up camp, and the next morning we woke up to a gorgeous sunrise. After breakfast, it was back on the trail and on our way to Traveler's Monument.
Good job, travelers.
I'm gonna clear it out.
You can't actually see what it says. But we have our rock.
There you go.
Okay, that's actually pretty good.
So after Traveler's Monument, it was on to Afton Canyon Bridge, where you have to take a picture. I think there's some sort of law. Next, we grubbed down at Spooky Canyon and did a little exploring of Spooky Canyon. I will say, this is pretty sketch. It's a cavern, cave, with some climbs there. Folks have put ropes in, but it's pretty sketchy.
Notice I stopped whenever.
Once we were done with Spooky Canyon, it was pretty much the home stretch. You have the famous water crossing at the end of the Mojave Road. There's actually two. There's one by the bridge, which is a little bit deeper, probably about 18 inches when we went through it, maybe a few inches more. And then a second crossing, which was a bit shallower, maybe a foot deep. With the end of the second water crossing basically comes the end of the Mojave Road. All I can say is, what an amazing adventure with some fantastic people. While the trail itself isn't really difficult, there's some sand, some whoop-de-doos, and a few rocks here and there, I would highly, highly recommend this trail. The views, the history, the camaraderie with your fellow travelers really do make this trail special. It's definitely one I'll remember for a long, long time, if not for the rest of my life. In any case, thanks for watching, guys, and we will catch you next time.